Teammates and friends off the track, John Dowd and Kevin Windham, now find themselves as foes, pitted against each other, tied for second in the point standings. The question now remains, which rider wants it the most?
Yeah, it hadn't been nerve-wracking in the truck or anything. You know, we know we're both going to go out there and do the best we can, and you know, whoever gets the overall is going to deserve it.
You know, I think I'm probably kind of looking at it the same way. The only thing is, you know, he's the young one, the young guy out there, you know, and I'm probably the oldest guy out there, so that kind of makes it interesting. But it's, you know, it's pretty important for me too. I'd like to try to finish off strong there this year. And
me and John really close friends, and you know, it's a pleasure being in the truck. But you know, today's the day, and
you know, we've been racing each other all year long, and you know, we always help each other out and stuff like that. So you know, we're pretty close as far as that goes. But you know, we kind of kid around with each other too. You know. You know, like you know, I'm gonna get you this time and this and that, but you know, it's pretty fun. I mean, you know, we're both still having fun. I don't think we both know it's not worth you know, trying to take each other out or anything for second, but you know, I'm sure we're gonna race hard out there.
It's the final outdoor national of the year at Steel City, Delmont, Pennsylvania, one of the few tracks a fan can see almost the entire challenge. Art Ekman along with David Bailey. As Jeff Hemming put it last week, this is as good as it gets. Jeff Hemming with a 2-point lead over defending champion Jeremy McGrath. The 250 crown coming right down to the final event.
You know, a lot of people could say Hemming is lucky to be where he's at right now in the points lead, but he's been a little different rider this year, a little more focused, and he stayed closer to McGrath in the points. And once McGrath injured his foot, he was there, he won both motos and took advantage ever since, and you can really see a difference in his attitude.
Steve Lampson has already won the 125 crown, and so the focus now goes to second place amongst teammates.
The Yamaha teammates, Windham and Dowd, and I think a battle to be the top guy over there at Yamaha, also a big age difference, so maybe a little battle for pride as well. But although Dowd has been the more consistent of the two, Windham has surely been the most spectacular.
Speaking of age, this is the time of the year where the promising amateurs who have just turned 16 can try it now with the big guys.
Well, it's Ricky Carmichael's turn to make his pro debut here at Delmont, and he's won 9 titles, 9 #1 plates at Loretta Lynn's in amateur competition, more than Windham, so it'll be interesting to see how he does.
Okay, let's go to the starting line for the 125s. The riders have just completed their parade lap and are relaxing at the starting gate. There's Ricky Carmichael in his initial pro appearance after just turning 16. Robbie Raynard, Kevin Windham, very relaxed at this gate. Lampson, let's take a look at the Suzuki track map.
Well, from the looks of it, looks like a Malibu Grand Prix course, Art. Pretty confusing. A lot of elevation changes. This track is known for its huge jumps, so if Lampson or Windham can get out front today, we'll see some heel clicking.
Windham, of course, held the record that Ricky Carmichael defeated this last Loretta Lynn's. He held the record with 8 #1 amateur plates, and Ricky got his 9th this last year as he gets set to go on the pro circuit bike. Moto #1, the 125s ready to get underway now, and they're off. Steve Lampson, another great start. Michael Craig getting a good shot too. There's Lampson #1, Craig 17. What a pack, and you see Dowd and Windham right there together on the left of your screen. There's good bumping of teammates right there for the advantage, but Craig clearly taking second place as Windham now moves into third.
What a start by Lampson. It looked like he got a pretty good roll at the gate. He tried to anticipate it. It worked perfect. Had a huge lead. Looked like he was riding a 250 yard.
Yeah, either that or shot out of a cannon. It's Lampson, Craig of Honda of Troy, Windham, Chad Pedersen of Pro Circuit, and then John Dowd.
A great advantage for Lampson right now with the hole shot, because you can see they've watered the track almost all the way around. So he'll be spraying everybody with mud. By the time they make their first lap, everyone's going to be dirty but Steve, and that's going to be good because he's got a brand new set of pants today. They're all gold, something Fox decided to do for him since he's already wrapped up the title.
Already wrapping up the title. Such a contrast to last year, David Bailey, when he won the first moto, and both he and Ryan Hughes were tied in points for the championship going into the final moto.
Well, Steve got the whole shot there, if I can remember correctly, and it seemed like Ryan Hughes was coming strong, riding as fast as he could possibly go, maybe even a little bit over his head, and Steve still had a little bit more for him. So pace was incredible, and Steve knows how to go fast in this racetrack.
With this order of fast riders out front, look for some great competition in this race as we head to the helicopter shot.
You can see here there how much air they're getting, and it looks like they're getting that much air from clear up here. You can imagine what it looks like from ground level.
Michael Craig and Kevin Windham battling it out for second place right now as Kevin Windham putting the pressure on the Honda of Troy rider. Steve Lamson not pulling away from these two guys. Everybody's fast. There's Kevin Windham to the inside.
Boy, he just about nipped the back wheel of Craig, too, as he tucked back underneath him. He set that up. Great move. It's obvious that Windham's going after Steve Lamson right now. He wants to win this last race and set things up for next year.
Kevin Windham coming off a sweep in the second to the last event of the season. He'd like to see another one. Right now, Steve Lamson's our leader. We'll be back.
It has a 937cc liquid-cooled 16-valve engine with straight intake tracks, adjustable suspension, and an ultra-rigid twin-tube diamond-type frame.
My son insisted we try America Online, and I said, what's in it for us? Now I know better. America Online makes our lives easier. It saves time and money, too. Look, I'll show you. Welcome. I don't mind saving for retirement anymore. I can research mutual funds, chart all my stocks, and do my banking all from home anytime I want. And there's more. Scan hundreds of magazines, get sports scores, enjoy hobbies, even shop online. So call this toll-free number and get everything you need to make your life easier and more fun.
Coverage of AMA Motocross is being brought to you by the reigning Supercross 125 and 250 outdoor champions, Honda. Come ride with us. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs from Delmont, Pennsylvania, as we're just underway in the 125s, the first moto. Kevin Windham. What a matchup. You know, we've been talking about this all year long. What if these two guys get matched up 1 and 2 throughout the race? Well, another dream come true as far as the fans are concerned now.
Well, they really haven't had it like this, out front all alone early in the race, locked in a battle where they're both riding well. And Lamson doesn't have the pressure. Windham really doesn't have much. Second, the points is it's important.
Oh, Windham with a smooth move early. Can Lammy come back? Kevin Windham with a surprise, shocking move early in this race. Here's Lamson. He retakes the lead. Oh, my goodness, what a battle early.
Another look at the pass. Windham comes down the hill, uses the berm, cuts back to the inside. See, Lamson made a little bobble there, just allowed Windham to make that pass even cleaner. And a little later, Windham drifted wide and let Lamson back underneath him. Watch Windham. He goes a little too wide here, gets sideways. Lamson squared that, got over that little double clean, passes him right back. Really messes with you too when you pass somebody, especially if you've been catching them. You pass them, you think, okay, that's that. All of a sudden they get you right back. You got to refocus, and you know the other guy's got a little confidence going, and it's tough to make another pass.
That's a little like breaking the other guy's serve in tennis. You want to come right back and be tough and not let him off the hook. Uh-oh, Ricky Carmichael, Casey Johnson tangling in turn 1. So Ricky Carmichael gets his first initiation in the big time.
Yeah, welcome to professional racing. That happens. I remember having a tough time just qualifying for my first national. I'm sure Ricky will do fine.
Ricky looked really impressive in the practice in the qualifying rounds, but he's starting from way back now as Kevin Windham retakes the lead. Back and forth we go, bar to bar, tire to tire.
Watch Lamson here. His back tire gets on the gas a little earlier. The back wheel slips over the berm. Windham was pretty smart there not to follow. Squared that corner. Worked out perfect for him. So now gets a little gift from Lamson. It wouldn't have been that easy to get around him, I don't think, but Lamson made the mistake, opened the door.
It's as much a psychological war right now as it is a physical one, David.
Well, I think Windham believes he's faster than Steve Lamson, and Lamson's going, well, if you're so fast, how come I got a skillion-point lead on you? So they want to battle.
Uh-oh. John Dowd in his battle for second place in the points is down.
That's not good news for the title, anyway. You can see already these guys have opened up a huge lead over Craig, who ran third. Dowd's quite a ways behind those guys, so looks like he's going to lose a lot of points in this first moto.
Good shot from the helicopter once again. Gives us the opportunity to see the different lines.
Yeah, it's interesting to see if there's, especially if there's any differences in lines. Right now, I think Lamson's content to just figure out what Windham's doing so well, because he was all over him. Right here, you can see how fast they carry all their speed through that corner. Wyndham going all the way to the outside, letting this momentum carry him out there.
Wyndham really accelerating out of these turns.
He's getting out of the corner so early. He's getting back on the gas a little earlier than Lamson. How fast you exit the corner determines how fast you can go down the straightaway. And even if Lamson's got maybe just a little bit more power on him, he's making up for it coming out of the corner.
Little slip by Wyndham, and Lamson's right there.
If Lamson can keep the pressure on him right here, that'll force Wyndham to worry a little bit about him, and maybe he'll take a little bit different lines here and there for fear that he's going to leave the door open for Steve, and that it'll stay close. But if Wyndham breaks away just a little bit, I don't think Lamson's got a chance, and I don't think he has the motivation, really.
Well,
why should he?
You see how fast these two are going, David, because the third-place rider isn't in our shot sometimes, and that's Michael Craig.
Yeah, and Craig's been riding great lately, too, so it's not that Craig isn't on the pace. He just is no match for these two today. There's Stanton. He's clapping for Lamson.
Our Suzuki stopwatch to give us an interval back to third place. 7.9 to Michael Craig.
Yeah, that's pretty early in the race. There was Kedrowski. It looked like he's probably rooting for Huffman, who's starting to work his way up slowly.
Damon Huffman coming back from that injury, looking a lot stronger right now, and his bike is performing up to par. As we take a look at the front runners, and all eyes really are on these two as they separate themselves from the rest of the pack.
The track's fairly smooth right now. I think they did a lot of work on it after practice. You can see they put a lot of water on it. They also smoothed out a few sections, and because of that, it's very fast right now. The riders are able to go just about anywhere they want through most of these big sweepers.
Huffman getting by Chad Pedersen for fourth place. The Team Kawasaki and the Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Damon Huffman starting off the outdoor season well in Gainesville, Florida with a fourth place overall, but then the Supercross injury to the ACL, and he was out at least 5 races. Had trouble really coming back at Buchanan, but now is revving it up. And here is our leader, Kevin Wyndham, and look at Steve Lamson now starting to put some heat on Kevin.
That's great, too. I didn't think that was going to happen. The way Kevin moved right into second and passed Lamson right away and then passed him back again, I thought, well, he's just going to pull away now. But Lamson's really changed what he's doing out there and made the adjustment. He's running just as fast as Kevin. It looks like these two are going to lock together for the rest of the race.
What a great scenario for the fine crowd here at Delmont, Pennsylvania. Kevin Wyndham, our leader, but Steve Lamson is right there. We are back to Steel City with a classic battle. The youthful phenom is out in front, Kevin Wyndham, of the two-time champion of the 125s, Steve Lamson, and they have been banging bar to bar for the entire race.
Just as Wyndham entered that berm right there, he laid it over and hit a little braking bump. His back wheel almost hopped out of the berm, so he's pushing it about as hard as he can right now.
Here's the closest battle right now on the track, and that's for third place. Michael Craig is getting the pressure now from Damon Huffman.
Usually Craig starts looking around quite a bit. He hasn't done that today yet. Huffman's definitely put the pressure on, and anytime somebody catches you like that, it just seems inevitable they're going to get around. It's just a matter of where.
Took a couple of races for Damon after the injury to get back into the flow of things in the Outdoor National. Damon trying the outside. Michael Craig shutting him off, protecting his line. Then Damon Huffman at Troy, Ohio, took a third place overall with a 3-2, and things were looking rosy. Then he got into bike problems, ignition problems, and that set him down for a couple of races. Came back in the last race with a fourth place overall.
I really was kind of expecting him to be on a 250 in the outdoors. I thought that's where his strength would be. He's a little bit taller, although he rides 125 well. I think he'd be doing better on a 250, and that bike certainly seems to be working a little bit better for Kawasaki, but they already had Hughes and Emig in that class, and it just made sense to keep Damon back there. But really was kind of a disappointing season, though.
Damon catching up in the corners.
He's just trying to take different lines right now. He's faster here and there. I think what you'll see is if he can get around Craig, he'll start to pull away quite a bit. I don't think he can catch the leaders, but Craig's riding great, but I think he's just holding him up just a little bit right now.
Craig has 2 second-place finishes in motos this year. His first one all the way back to Mount Morris. His last one at Millville. He was in second overall at Washougal with a 3-3, which was a wonderful ride considering that he fell down twice in one moto, got up and still finished third. He's holding off Damon Huffman now, but Huffman comes to the inside. Little touch there, the tires.
These guys get close. You know, you see guys banging together. You'll see them. It's like Huffman's going to have that inside line. He just positioned himself perfect for that one. Great move. You'll see these guys touch at times, and it looks scary, but they're going the same speed, so it's just like bumping next to each other on the starting line. It really doesn't hurt anything. These guys have that much confidence. Another look at Huffman's pass. All he did was just drag race Craig up the straightaway into the corner. He had himself already positioned to the inside. Just took the line away.
Damon Huffman picking up the pieces from an unlucky season here at the end of the campaign. Here's Ricky Carmichael, his front fender a little out of kilter there after the crash. And Ricky, only 16 years old. He's got some growing up to do, both physically and mentally, of course.
Yeah, he doesn't look very big on that 125. He looks a little bit like Jeff Ward did. And you know, I've heard a lot of people say, well, I don't know if Carmichael's going to ever really be able to be a McGrath or somebody like that because he's just not big enough. But Jeff Ward sure made it work for him, and they look a lot alike right now to me.
Carmichael stepping out of the minors to the big show, and I talked with Ricky and Kevin Windham prior to the race. Okay, Ricky, how does it feel out there? You've had some time on the practice track. What are the differences now do you feel that are going to be your biggest challenges, etc.?
Well, you know, the motors are going to be longer. Them guys are a lot faster. It's going to be rougher, and I don't know, it's going to be a lot tougher than the amateurs all around, for sure. I just hope to get in top 10, you know, but that may be a little too good for my first race, but I'll be happy with top 10.
It's a humbling experience, especially after all those championships, huh?
Yeah, coming off the amateurs, you know, I pretty much won everything I raced, but, you know, I waited a long time, but, geez, these guys are so fast, you know, I'm going to have to work my butt off.
Wasn't long ago when you can look back coming off all of those amateur championships, but they really don't mean much when you step up into this class, do they? Give me an idea of what you felt like.
Well, you know, it's really unreal. You know, you come from, you know, really top in the amateurs to getting on the line with guys that, you know, just really, you know, you've been looking up to them all that time, and then you know how fast and strong they are to be there and to be there for that long, and you know, it's really quite overwhelming. You know,
if you had some advice, or if he came and asked you for some advice about how to make that transition easier, what would you say?
You know, try not to let yourself get down, and you know, take each race and you know, learn something from it, because you know, there's definitely something to be learned every race, and you know, if you just because you don't go out there and win, don't mean the you know, race is a total failure. You know, so just take what you can and learn, and you know, building blocks. You know, no one gets there on their first ride.
Yes, but our leader here today, Kevin Windham, has learned very rapidly, and his first ride was a pretty good one.
Not bad. He led at Mount Morris, his first national. He led the first moto almost all the way to the end, and then Doug Henry got around him. It was a pretty nice first ride, but it's been a long battle since then. Last year was pretty tough for him.
Doug Henry, of course, capturing the championship that year. Henry back-to-back championships in 93, 94, Lamson in 95, 96. Steve currently in second place behind Kevin Windham.
Honda invented the ATV, and in over 25 years, no one has taken the idea farther. Now, with the purchase of a Fortrax 300 or 300 4x4, get a Magellan GPS satellite navigator. So no matter where on Earth you go, we can help bring you back. And with any new Honda Fortrax, get one of the best deals on Earth. No down payment and 13.5% APR financing.
Now, the most difficult shots in golf are easy to make with the Alien Ultimate Wedge. You'll be out in one swing, guaranteed.
I don't care how high a handicapper you are or how little you play. You'll get out of the sand on your very first swing or your money back.
Over 60% of all shots are taken within a short distance of the pin. The Alien Ultimate Wedge's triple radius design gets you out of the sand, out of the deep rough, even off hard pan. You don't need a new swing, a new stance, or a sports psychologist. All you need to get on the green is the Alien Ultimate Wedge. Call now for your free video and brochure and find out how you can get this revolutionary club in your bag.
If you live for golf and want to save strokes, pick up the phone right now and order your Alien Wedge. I guarantee you'll be glad you did.
The Alien Ultimate Wedge.
There's a long one.
One swing, and you're out of there.
Right on it. Oh, thanks.
Guaranteed.
Rich Osborne sitting there, yes.
From Steel City, USA in Delmont, Pennsylvania, Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs, and still in the battle out front in Moto number 1 of the 125s in our final event of the year. It's number 38, Kevin Windham, along with Steve Lamson on his tail.
Lamson has not let him get away. In fact, he's actually closed up really close, dangerously close. In Windham's mind, and a lot of times, that's a corner a little earlier where Lamson made a mistake and Windham got by. Those berms are starting to get deep and rough.
Paul Curry is down, and it's so frustrating at the point. Looks like his bike is out of commission, too, with that handlebar bent like that. He started campaigning in Buchanan and has been in 5 nationals. Brock Sellers, a rookie, in 10th place, 8:58. He just came out of the amateur ranks.
Listening to Carmichael and his pro debut, hoping to be inside the top 10. Brock Sellers has got that if he can hold Brandis off.
Michael Brandis of Team Chaparral.
Shoot, I just wanted to qualify for my first national. I wasn't even thinking about top 10. I didn't think about that for quite a while.
You know, I really enjoy this track because it's so easy for the fans to see almost every turn.
Right, not just for the fans, but the mechanics. A little less of mystery for them. They get to see the race too, but a lot of times they don't get to see much, and it's tough to put anything on the signal board for them.
Some tracks, it's hard to get the signal board out in time. They come around the corners so fast. Brandis and Brock Sellers having a nice little battle here as Brandis now moves in front of the rookie.
These guys locked in their own battle aren't that far behind Ezra Lust. He's just about 4 or 5 seconds up ahead of him, so they've got a pretty good pace going.
Ezra just signing a contract for next year with Team Yamaha. And speaking of Team Yamaha, here's John Dowd. Last year, he rode a 250 here and took 2nd place overall. This year, he's having trouble in the 125. 2nd place in the points, tied with the leader, Kevin Windham. But he won't be tied, it doesn't look like, after this moto.
No, even if he turns on the afterburners right now and works his way up to 3rd, which would be just about impossible with the gap that Huffman has on him right now, he'd still lose 5 points. So it's not looking good so far for John.
Dowdy seemingly always having more problems in the first moto than the second moto. Did you ever have that problem, David?
Not that I can recall. If I was off, I just was off all day. And, you know, the same goes for if I was having a good day, I did good all day. I never really had motos like that, and it's hard for me to figure out and really discuss what's going on with those guys because I've never experienced it.
Speaking of having a bad day, Mike Brown, we haven't mentioned his name all day long here in Moto number 1. Let's go down to Davey Coombs and see what the problem might be in the mechanics area.
All right, thanks, Art. Thanks, Dave. We're down here in the pits with Mike Brown. As you can see, he's just put in here. He's having problems with his wrist. This might be his last ride for Honda of Troy. I know this isn't the way Mike wanted to end up. We'll see if he can get out in the second moto.
Thanks, Davey. A tremendously disappointing year from Mike Brown, whose best finish overall was a 5th place this year in the Outdoor Nationals. He has not re-signed with anyone, and so it might look like he's going the privateer route next year. Buddy Antonez right here in front of John Dowd, number 22, is an enterprising privateer, that's for sure. He's got a good shot at the $5,000 at the end of the season as the top privateer.
Wow, threads the needle too, just barely stays on the racetrack. Had to kind of duck around.
Oh!
John Dowd got into that corner a little hot, hit a bump he shouldn't have hit. That allowed Dowd to get around, but in that corner before, Dowd came to the inside, and Antonez just left it taped around the outside and got him back.
You think of recovery like that, you think of traction, you think of balance, but it also takes a lot of strength.
That's something that's really hard to see or experience until you've gone out there and gone around a racetrack a couple of laps, and then you realize how hard it is, and then the pace that these guys have and the ability to concentrate at the pace that they're riding for that long between motos. They don't have much time. They go back out and do it again. And, you know, you don't see the strength in guys like Kevin Windham and Damon Huffman, but they're a little bit like the way I rode. They ride with a lot more finesse and technique. They do everything right, and it doesn't take that much strength.
Yeah, when you see the shirts off, they look, well, there's no body fat, number 1.
Well, these guys are lean, that's for sure. Even the ones that, you know, aren't really buff, You know, a lot of muscles, guys. You see Jeremy is pretty thick and strong. Ryan Hughes, another one. Even Lamson's very stout and strong, but Wyndham's real lean. Damon Huffman, Ron Lachine was like that. And Ron Lachine's a perfect example of a guy that didn't train very much, but still got results because he rode relaxed and did the right things and just saved energy out there.
As you see on the final lap, Kevin Wyndham has pulled a pretty good lead now on Steve Lamson after almost an entire race of feeling the heat of Steve Lamson at his back.
Now he's just got a nice pace going, a pace that most guys would be real happy with, and he's taking it easy.
Figure Steve Lamson says, hey, I'm not going to beat this guy in Moto 1. I'll just save some strength for Moto 2.
Yeah, I think so. You can have it. I've been in that position before, and, you know, why chase the guy all the way to the checkers? And then, you know, the flip side of that is you got a guy like Johnson or Hanna that never gave up. I always use those guys' names because they just charged so much, and they kept the pressure on. And you got a guy breathing down your neck with a half a lap to go, and you got a couple of lappers you might have to negotiate before you get to the checkered flag. Anything can happen.
Like most fathers in this family sport, Dwayne Wyndham instrumental in starting Kevin Wyndham's career, and also after being one of his main teachers in the amateur ranks. Bob Hanna was telling me he can draw back and let other people give instruction, and he knows Kevin so well that he oftentimes would give Hanna some points to tell Kevin.
Well, probably didn't teach him that heel clicker, huh?
No, I don't think so.
Typically a kid, and I know this because I used to watch what Hanna did and listen to other people more than I listened to my father, and it's probably smart for Dwayne to tell Bob to tell him. He'll listen to Bob probably first.
Well, it's a great relationship, as so many family relationships are in this sport, because it's the families that take the riders around during the amateur days and the big support later on before they get to a factory team. Kevin Wyndham wheelies to his third consecutive moto victory here with the 125s. Right behind Wyndham, of course, in case he made a mistake, was Steve Lamson. Damon Huffman, a very credible but lonely third-place finish. Michael Craig holding on to fourth. And there you see, rounding out the top 10 as we're getting set to go down to Davey Coombs with our winner in Moto 1.
You won the moto, but more importantly, you got points on your teammate John Down, your battle for the vice championship.
Yeah, you know, I guess I don't really know where Dowd finished, but you know, I guess me and him are both just going out there and you know, just trying to win each moto like we've done all year. And you know, John's a great rider. I don't really know where he finished, but we just got there, and you know, we got 39 other guys to worry about also. So I'm just gonna go out there and try to do the same thing I did this moto and go for the overall.
Yeah, if you beat him again, you get bragging rights for the whole rest of the year in the Yamaha truck.
Yeah, that and you know, just it's been a long season, and you know, I'm finally getting to where I feel confident against Lammy and you know, hanging there and running with him. So it'll do a lot of good for me next year also.
He's got 13 moto wins on the season, 9 overall victories. He came in second in moto number 1. Steve Lamson, Davies with him now.
Steve, how'd you let Kevin get away from you there in the middle?
He was riding a pretty good pace. I was all over him one time and put pressure on him. It looked like I had him, but then I kind of dropped off on the tabletop section back there. I didn't jump him all the way one time and blew my momentum. So, but that's all right. Second moto, you know.
Is it a hard track to make up time on?
Yeah, it is. I mean, especially the fastest we're going. I mean, we're turning some fast lap times out there, and arms got a little pumped. I'm sure Kevin's did too. And but I just had to charge back second moto.
All right.
Thanks.
And we have no reason to expect anything different in Moto 2 as the crews get ready to come out once again here from Delmont, Pennsylvania. Welcome back to Steel City, USA for our final event of the year. It's time for the second moto of 125s after a great bar-to-bar battle between Kevin Wyndham and Steve Lamson in moto number 1. There you see Damon Huffman, who had a very fine third-place finish. John Dowd, though, would like to see some improvement.
Well, he's going to need a lot of improvement if he wants to capture second in the series. With that first moto performance, he dropped 9 points to Wyndham. The way Wyndham's riding today, doesn't look like Dowd's going to be able to make up those points unless something happens.
Ali Seymour shouting instructions into Kevin Wyndham's ear right next to Lamson here. Michael Craig 4 bikes down.
Looks like Wyndham now, because he won that first moto, he gets first pick to the gate. He elected to go to the far inside spot. That's where Lamson got that incredible jump in the first moto. See if it makes a difference this time.
It doesn't seem to matter as much to Wyndham as long as he gets a good clean start, not to get the whole shot.
I'd take off and make a right. That's the only chance. Look at Lamson again.
Lamson again gets the whole shot in good position. Huffman number 10, Pedersen 21, and Wyndham Very good position for Kevin Windham as they go into turn 2, which is always a bottleneck.
Well, it's an off camber and it's tight, so you got guys coming out of the first corner going and then coming into this from the far outside and the far left, and there's no room for everybody.
Buddy Antonez getting hung up there. Our leader once again out of the hole shot is Steve Lampson.
Another pretty good start for Pedersen. He's right in there. See if Windham can get around him pretty quick. Yeah, same move he made the first moto. Made a lot of his passes right there. He went out, used that berm early, and cut back out of it. It's a shorter line to the next corner.
Now, if you're Steve Lampson, do you try to pull away as best you can early, or do you pace yourself and have another battle with Windham?
You're just going as fast as you can. You heard him say how fast their pace was in the first moto and that he made a little mistake, unable to jump one of the plateaus. Well, that's all that made the difference. He couldn't make that time back up, so he needs to just go from the start, put his head down, as he would say, and just not look back.
John Dowd, not the best of starts, as we saw him earlier, coming back on the track out of that off-camber turn, as Steve Lampson is our leader once again. But Kevin Windham, it looks like another battle between these two.
Well, if I was Kevin right here, I'd stay close, but I wouldn't stay too close because they have watered the track again between motos, trying to keep the dust down and plowed it up here and there. And if he stays real close, especially in that line, he's going to get a face full of mud.
Checking from our helicopter cam, Kevin Windham at select times takes different lines, as you said.
Yeah, coming into that corner, you can see they dumped a lot of water on that. So, you know, if you're going to stay close to a guy and it's muddy out there and you're getting sprayed, you got to make that pass quick. Otherwise, you're going to run out of vision. And right now, Windham's decided to go for it. You better make it happen.
Oh, he's looking for opportunities now, isn't he, David?
He is. He's trying to stay out of his roost.
As Kevin Windham searches for a way to get around Lampson, Michael, Craig, and Pedersen have a good battle going on for third. And Damon Huffman rounding out our top 5. We'll be back. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs, welcome back to Steel City, USA, moto number 2. Steve Lampson is our leader. He took off on a lead in the first moto. Kevin Windham caught him and passed him for the victory. But Steve Lampson looks very determined not to let number 38, who is now in second place, catch him this time around.
No, he gave it everything he had to try to get over those 2 plateaus right there. It's a little tough on a 125 because it's a little slick his first few laps since they watered. Look, you can see they plowed the track, and Windham went outside into that rough stuff, tried to square the corner a little early, and didn't work out too good. He had to make a couple of pivots there in the corner. That'll all get beat down once those riders come through there 2 or 3 laps. The pace will get a little quicker. Be more places to pass. That's good news for Kevin.
Into lap 2, and we've got a similar battle right now. The Suzuki stopwatch checking out the interval now from second place back to third, about a little over 5 seconds.
Pretty substantial after only 1 lap. Great battle for third, though.
Hoffman and Michael Craig, and that's Pedersen right behind Craig in fourth.
And John Dowd's also in that pack, hunting these guys down. At least he's in the race this time. He can see the leaders. You know, we talked about how good it is for spectators to see the track. Well, it's good for the rider, too, because you can look up ahead or over to the side and see where the leaders are all the time and kind of gauge your progress.
Don't forget a special visual presentation of the 125 season right after this moto's completed, as we have Huffman, Craig, Pedersen, Dowd, Brandis, and Ricky Carmichael. Carmichael in 8th place this round.
That's got to feel good for him, too. I'm sure the first moto was just sort of working the bugs out, and it looks like Chad Watts, that's Carmichael's mechanic for today, just telling him to relax. I mean, in my first moto, I was pretty nervous. I'm sure he's going to feel a lot more relaxed this time. Now he's kind of in the battle, and he's seeing all these guys he's probably been looking up to for a long time. It's not only exciting, but real inspiring for him.
Here's our leader, Steve Lampson, who's already announced he's coming back for a 3rd time to defend the 125 plate. It'll be the first time since Mark Barnett got 3 in a row, 1980 through 82. Then we got to go back to Brock Glover days, 3 in a row as well.
Yeah, way back then. That's back in my days, too. Shoot, that has been a while.
Yeah, and you still don't have gray hair, I tell you.
It's getting there. Watching these battles.
Oh, this is a great battle once again. Kevin Windham now looking for that opportunity to get around Steve Lampson. Lampson just fast enough to take that inside line away from him.
Just fast enough, or his bike's just fast enough, not sure which. A little bit of both. Hey, Kevin, you watch him, he's working on Lampson too. He'll go into the corner a little wide and carry his momentum, cut back to the inside. He's keeping Steve guessing. And that's the best plan when you're back there and putting pressure on somebody.
Your peripheral vision when you're racing like this, how close does that bike have to be to see him alongside you?
Not that close. You can hear him. You can hear the reaction of the crowd. Somebody's doing something behind you, jumping all the way over something you're not able quite to clear, and you can hear the crowd reaction. You know, well, the next time I come to that part, unless I got it dialed, I better have a little lead before I get there. And you know, when you get this kind of pressure, you just feel like you got eyes in the back of your head. You know what's going on, and you're trying to counter every move.
Obvious that the track is starting to dry out a bit from the watering between motos, because going up the hill to the finish line, a lot of roost from Steve Lampson back into Kevin Windham, number 38. Kevin Windham to the inside on that very difficult off-camber turn.
He's keeping the pressure on. He's letting Steve know he's there. Just a replay of the first moto, having to come from behind and try to catch Steve and force Steve to ride maybe a little bit out of his comfort zone and make a few mistakes, something we haven't seen very much this year.
Many of the tracks this year Kevin Windham has not seen before because of his injuries and illness of last season. He has raced here before, and it certainly has a confident effect right now. I wonder what Steve Lampson's strategy is going to be from here, if it's anything different than the first moto. Let's go down to Davey Coombs now, who's with Mike Gosler.
Mike, in the first moto, you guys followed Windham most of the way. You're trying a different tack this time?
No, he said his arms got a little bit pumped up like midway through there, and kind of made a couple mistakes when his arms were pumped, so Windham got away. And that's pretty much normal for him. So hopefully this moto got all that behind us and be able to put on some good racing.
How important is it for him to win this last moto?
He wants to win bad. You know, he won the championship. He doesn't want people to think just because he won the championship he's given up, and he wants to go out winning this last race.
Thanks, Mike.
Sure. Thank you.
A great amount of pride in Steve Lampson. There's no question about that. In fact, almost everyone on the Supercross, motocross scene has that same pride.
Well, I agree with his mechanic. He does want to win this, but Craig's down, looks like.
And David, it looks like he went down pretty hard. He was riding in 5th position at the time, trying to remount number 17 now, that Honda of Troy. Going to restart. He's taking his goggles off. That's not a good sign. No, it looks like he might have something in his eye right now. Well, it's questionable whether he'll get back into the race.
Well, he's going to drop way out of the top 20, and the left side of his handlebars is bent way up, too, so he must have gone down pretty hard.
Steve Lampson holding on to the lead. Kevin Windham, though, with a big challenge. Huffman, Dowd, and Pedersen the top 5.
Formula One winds through the streets of Cascais. The Grand Prix of Portugal. Sunday, 8:30 on ESPN2.
Toronto battles the BC Lions tonight at midnight. The Canadian Football League on ESPN2. Radically Canadian.
Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs at Steel City, USA. Moto number 2 of the 125s. Number 38, Kevin Windham, won the first one in a great head-to-head battle with number 1, Steve Lampson. Lampson, the defending champion. Whether Lampson takes first, second, third, or whatever here in today's moto, he still would have the largest points margin since this current point system has been in effect as far as 125 winners are concerned. Marty Smith, of course, David, dominated the first 2 years of 125 competition, but the scoring system was different in those days.
Yeah, the number of races, I think, is a little different, too. But it's pretty impressive, though, Windham, I mean, for Lampson to have 5 motos remaining and wrap the title up. I've never even heard of that.
The highest point spread before Lampson, you have to go all the way back to 1978. Brock Glover had a 110-point spread. Hanna was next, Holland, Glover, and then Mickey Diamond had a 52-point spread. Guy Cooper won the crown by 1 point. There's only been one tie. You might remember that.
Yeah, that was Laporte and Brock Glover. Remember the famous let Brock by sign where they spelled all the words wrong? Well, with Hanna moving over for Brock, that not only gave him the title, but Brock had 2 wins, Laporte only had 1. That's how it was decided that year.
1977, Brock Glover, the first of 3 125 championships. Steve Lampson, our leader right now. Kevin Windham having a tougher time getting by Lampson. A much more determined fight here by the number 1 plate.
Windham is not going to let him get away here. You can see if he does lose a little time here and there, he's able to pick it right back up. They each have their favorite sections of the racetrack, I guess. And you can see now that where they plowed the racetrack, then they had this one little cow trail kind of going through there. Now it's widened up, a lot more passing availability out there, and Windham's starting to look for it.
With Lampson protecting some of the lines that might have been a little suspect as far as Wyndham being behind him in the first moto, Kevin hasn't had a chance really to get around him.
No, Lamson's not going to make it easy for him. He remembers where Wyndham was strong the first time, and he's picked it up a little bit through those sections. These guys watch videos in the truck between motos. They listen to the spotters. Stanton's out there on the headset talking back to Gosler, saying, you know, put this on the board. He's losing time here or there, or pick up your corner speed, or relax. So he's doing all that he can possibly do, but still isn't quite enough to help him pull away.
So quite possibly Wyndham will find a new area to try to get by Steve Lamson here to take the lead. Right now he certainly has the pressure on, going to the outside on the off-camber, but holding his own, coming back on the inside trail.
Now this title may be decided. It's not going to be quite like what we're coming up with in the 250 class, but it sure is a great battle.
A super one for another record crowd. On the sweeping right turn, Kevin Wyndham puts the throttle down, and Kevin Wyndham takes over the lead. We're just about the halfway point of the race.
That was a pretty demoralizing pass. Right around him on the outside.
We'll see if Steve Lamson can come firing back.
Looks to me like Wyndham's lines are coming together really nice. In that corner, the two berms, he started in the outside rut, just got in and out of there quick, and Steve kind of fumbled around that inside one a little bit.
So we have a new leader here in Moto 2 of the 125s. Kevin Wyndham, David Huffman holding down third, with Dowd moving up to fourth. We'll be back. Welcome back. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs. Out in front now, Kevin Wyndham. That's Brian Lennis, David Huffman's mechanic. Huffman has had a lonely time of it today. After initial battles to get into third, David, he's been riding his own race pretty much unmolested.
Probably when he gets into third, he feels like he's in the lead, because those guys are completely, they're in another county already.
Here's John Dowd trying to make up some room on Huffman. Dowdy in fourth.
Not sure what the split was. He's still got a ways to go. Lunas was checking his watch, getting ready to put down for Huffman how much of a lead he had on John Dowd, which indicates to me that Dowd may be coming.
Dowdy with kind of an up and down year this year. Won a moto at Southwick, kind of a wedding present at that time. Signed his letter of intent with Yamaha. Hasn't signed a contract yet for next year, but it looks like that's where he'll end up.
He's done a good job for Yamaha. I'm sure he's a good test rider. Probably, especially for endurance, this guy will ride all day. I don't think he gets tired ever. He sweats a lot, but he doesn't get tired.
Everyone mentioned he's the oldest rider out there at 31 years of age, but he got started so late. He hasn't taken so much of the pounding that a lot of these guys have.
Yeah, his whole curve just started a little later, and I think he'll be able to even ride a couple more years, which is really getting up there. And in contrast to that, Carmichael doesn't look like he's old enough to have a license at all.
After a 16th in the first moto, he can be very proud of his run right now. He is in 6th place, and of course his fellow rookie Brock Sellers took a 13th in the first moto, is currently in 16th. So Carmichael coming back with some maturity here for his first pro race.
The kid's already got great timing.
Ricky Carmichael's mechanic is Chad Watts for this race. Let's go to Davey.
Chad, the moto started out a little better for Ricky. Did you learn any lessons that first time?
Yeah, last race is a little too anxious, making quite a few too many mistakes, and I lost a lot of time. This moto, he got a good start, and fortunately, he's able to run the pace of like the 3rd to the 5th place guy.
Was he bummed out at all after the first moto?
No, he wasn't bummed. He's just a little frustrated at himself, and now he realizes what he's got to do.
Another great perspective from the helicopter. You can see how much momentum Wyndham carries through that right-hand corner right there. Starting to open up a little bit of a lead on Lamson now, and doesn't have far to go to the finish.
Kevin Wyndham, in the waning moments of our second moto, is gunning for his 4th consecutive moto victory. Here's the final lap underway. What's exciting about this too, David, is with both these young men coming back to go against each other in 125s next year, I mean, this could be just a preview of what we might see.
Yeah, I think it's going to be all year long a battle. Hopefully they can both stay healthy, and if they can, it's going to come down to the wire. We could be looking at what we saw here last year between Lamson and Hughes, and a preview of what's going to come up later in the 250 class.
I can hardly wait for that. Jeremy McGrath only 2 points behind Jeff Emig as it comes right down to the wire with the big guys, the 250s. Kevin Wyndham, though, has learned so much this year. I'm not so sure that last year might have been good for him, even though there was injuries and illness involved.
it forced him to realize this is difficult. I think he has a little bit more respect for what he's able to achieve right now.
The checkered flag for Kevin Windham, who goes past our interview area to take a little ride to say hi to some fans. Kevin Windham, Steve Lamson, and Huffman here in Moto 2 with Dowdy taking 4th, Chad Pedersen hanging up there in 5th. Ricky Carmichael, very commendable 6th place finish. Davey's making a habit of talking with Kevin Windham.
Wow, Kevin, what a way to end the season. 2 more moto wins.
Yeah, you know, we both were riding really good, and you know, man, what can I say? You know, that's just the way it should come down to the end. Too bad I was so far out of the points chase, but you know, it really does a lot of good for me next year, and you know, I just feel unreal being able to go out there and perform like that at the end of the year.
Yeah. The whole second moto looked like you and Lamps were dancing. Were you buying your time, or were you just waiting for the right mistake?
Oh man, he's going so fast you can't just jump out there and pass him, and I was eating so much dirt I wanted to get around him so bad, but you know, if you force something, you know, we both could have went down or anything, and you know, I was just hoping and waiting for a mistake, and luckily it happened. I didn't think it was there for a while.
And how do you feel about the Vice Championship? You're now the 2nd ranked 125cc rider in the United States.
I feel great about that, you know, and hopefully there's only one spot to improve, so you know, I got my work cut out for me next year, but you know, I feel really good about it, and Yamaha's really strong, and I'm glad we could get him up here on the podium.
Congratulations on the win here at Steel City.
A great finish to the season for Kevin Windham with 2 straight overalls. Lamson in 2nd, Huffman ending out with a 3-3. Chad Pedersen in 5th place, Buddy Antonez 6th, Ricky Carmichael an 8th overall, Michael Craig in 10th. Let's go back to Davey.
Steve, I know you don't like to lose a race, but that had to have been a great race to be a part of.
Yeah, it was. I mean, if we weren't riding a good pace or whatnot, and I was getting seconds, I wouldn't be happy. But I'm perfectly happy with that ride. I mean, Kevin rode a really good ride, and we had a good race, and I think the fans enjoyed it. So he came out on top, but that's how it goes.
Well, you're about as close as you've been to anybody this year as far as those, you know, finishing second and everything goes. Usually you get a break out front and you're gone. Were you thinking that was going to happen here in the second moto?
Well, I knew if Kevin was behind me and how the track was. I mean, he rides this track really well, keeps his momentum up really good, and that's a key thing here. And we rode a good race. I knew he was back there, and just like 1-2 out the gate, you know, and we pretty much smoked everyone else, it looked like, and it was a good race. I mean, we both rode really clean, and there's nothing crazy going on.
Does it take any luster off the championship you lost the last round?
No. I mean, I won the championship. I mean, to win it 2.5 races early, I mean, is a goal for me. I mean, I don't think too many people have done that. So worked hard, and I worked hard these last couple of weeks too. It just didn't, things didn't go my way. Kevin rode good. He had good starts, and that's how it goes.
All right, congratulations, 1996 national champ Steve Lamson.
Thanks a lot.
Steve with a lot to be proud of. 9 overalls in 13 races and a 129-point victory in the final standings. Buddy Antonez, our top privateer this year. Our congratulations to him as we look at the top 10. David, another entertaining 125 season.
It was certainly fantastic today. A great battle between Windham and Lamson, and an indication of what I think we'll be seeing a lot of next year.
We'll be seeing the 250s next, but first, a musical salute to the 125s.
That's mechanical right there. You can see him trying to work the throttle.
As he takes the checkered flag. Spinning in the air.
It is a relief to win the championship for one, and then just go out there and have fun.
John Dowd, though, makes the inside move on. Oh, they contact, and it looks like Robbie Raynard on the inside as Dowd bumps on the outside. Raynard, number 40.
I just give it everything I got. I have nothing left.
A salute to the crowd. You can bet Scott Sheik is one happy man.
Dowd with a real quick turn, goes into second place. And here comes Lamson again, right back at Windham, retaking the lead.
It's not disappointment. I'm playing out pissed off right now.
All right, David, there's a lot of interesting things. It might be Ricky Carmichael. We'll see how he does. All right, David. Okay.
And 5-4.
Look, I think I saw my breath.
You didn't see your breath.
I did, I saw it.
Why don't you call Sears?
Maybe I should call.
Brian, I'm cold. You're cold. It's cold.
It's time.
It's definitely time to call Sears now and save on installed heating. Get 0% finance charge, no billing, no payments until January with the Sears Charge Home Improvement Plan. Call now for a free in-home estimate on a Kenmore furnace. State-of-the-art engineering means greater energy efficiency. A new Kenmore could save 10 to 43% on your annual heating costs. In time, even pay for itself. Sears also offers fast emergency installation, a 5-year warranty on parts, plus our satisfaction guarantee. And you know Sears will be there to back it up. Get 0% finance charge, no billing, no payments until January. Offer ends September 30th, so call now and save with Sears.
Winner. Don't you just love it?
I'm warming up to it.
Yards to go. There it is, the checkered flag, our champion for 1995, Steve Lamson.
Last season, it was the 125s that came down to the final event. Steve Lamson winning the title in the final moto over Ryan Hughes. Hughes, to the roar of the fans, pushing his wounded machine over the finish line before collapsing from exhaustion. In 1996, it's the 250s with the final event title chase. Once thought untouchable defending champion Jeremy McGrath versus the focused and determined points leader Jeff Emig. The heavyweights of motocross square off today at the Steel City Showdown. Both moto warriors with visions of the glories and riches the championships bring. The riders on the parade lap getting ready for our 250 Moto number 1 from Steel City, and the record crowd, David, is so excited right now.
It's going to be good, and something that I noticed a little different, LaRocco in between Emig and McGrath. Noticed a lot of times this year McGrath and Emig have started next to each other. It's a little different today. They have first 2 picks to the line, but elected not to start next to each other.
David, how do these young men ignore the pressure with so much on the line?
You can't. It's just about impossible. You just try to focus on all the things that got you there, and you try to visualize the day going perfect, everything going as planned, and then focus on that. It's tough to do. I'm nervous right now, and I'm not even down there.
I talked with him earlier.
Unfortunate circumstances have put me in this situation. You know, I'm 2 points down behind Emig, and if it weren't for last week, I wouldn't be in this position. So I'm happy about that. But I mean, I think the pressure's really not on me. I think it's been a long time since Jeff's won a championship in '92, and I've won several since then, so I think I'm kind of used to it. So, I mean, after all, I am in second. I am the underdog at the moment.
I felt a little more nervous last week than I do this week. You know, it's just like going and racing like an individual race now, a local as such, where it's, look, whoever does better on the day is going to win this 250 National Championship.
As Jeff Emig told us last week, this is as good as it gets, coming right down to the final event, just 2 points separating the two contenders. Both camps, really, David, trying to act just as business as usual.
Well, that's exactly what they're trying to do, try to act normal, but believe me, they're all feeling it inside. Everybody, there's a lot of tension in the pits.
And starts mean so much, especially between these two riders. They have the majority of the hole shots between them. Jeff Emig, more successful later in the season. They're off for the first moto. Emig with a good cut to the inside. Emig will get the hole shot. Where is Jeremy? Big pile up in turn 1, and I believe that was Brian Swink that went down along with Greg Albertine.
Jeremy was lucky to get out of there. He just positioned himself perfect, stayed just to the inside of Albertine, who went down. Jeremy came out smelling like a rose there. Now the battle is set. Both those guys right together. I don't think they're going to get a challenge from behind. They got too much business to do at hand. They're not even going to worry about what's going on behind them.
Well, the eyes are all going to be focused on these two riders the rest of the way. Jeff Emig getting the hole shot has the advantage. In years past, David, Emig, less mature, less championship of an attitude, would not be able to hold a lead like this with the dominant Jeremy McGrath right behind him.
Well, I think that's the key, though. It's in years past. Lately, Jeff has the confidence. He doesn't worry about what's going on behind him, although today is a little bit different situation. You can bet he's really nervous, but he's got the start he needs. Pressure's on Jeremy right now. He's the one that's behind. He's the one that's got to find a way around to hopefully pick up a 1-point lead going to that second moto.
If he hopes to get the championship again, it is a must-win for Jeremy McGrath as he cuts into the backside of Jeff Emig now. Emig trying to hold his own as we go to the helicopter shot to see the lines. Jeremy McGrath to the inside, has the edge, and oh my goodness, already Jeremy has made the break himself. Here comes Emig right back again. Can he re-secure the lead? Ooh, he almost lost it right there as his toe caught and went backward. It looked like it might even hit the tire of Jeremy McGrath.
Yeah, Jeremy almost ran into the foot, and if he didn't, of Emig, that could have been they could have both gone down right there. But what an aggressive move by Emig. See Stanton right there telling Jeremy, use your head, just be patient, long moto, and wear him down. He's done it before, but I think that was a significant move right there. Jeremy caught him, passed him, probably figured, okay, now I'm in control. After last week, won both motos, going away, but Emig is here to fight, got him right back, and that will mess with your confidence.
Boy, a battle of the minds underway, as well as a battle on the track with Jeff Emig and Jeremy McGrath. Now the two are significantly pulling away from the third-place rider.
And that's going to do a lot for Jeff Emig's confidence, too. What a relief. A little mistake there by Jeremy, too, to get passed by Jeremy, then to pass him right back and reestablish the lead, and then to look over your shoulder. See that you got a little gap now. That's going to help.
The end of the first lap, it's Emig and McGrath battling it out. Rich Taylor, a surprise third, with Mike LaRocco in fourth and Hughes in fifth. We'll be back.
First, 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 second, bad taco. First. No one in Supercross history has ever had a more perfect season. Honda's Jeremy McGrath, 4-time Supercross champion.
Now is the perfect time to start weightlifting. The perfect time for SoloFlex. The muscle you build on SoloFlex increases your metabolism to burn fat 24 hours a day. Weightlifting also boosts your immune system and increases your aerobic capacity. And nothing works better than weightlifting to improve your looks and energy. Call now for your free brochure and video.
When I started losing my hair, it bothered me, and I finally got to the point where I just didn't want to think about it anymore. But I didn't want to do anything until I knew I could get the look that I wanted. The most important thing to me was the hairline. It had to look natural.
Hair Club for Men is proud to announce a technological breakthrough. Call our toll-free number now to receive your free copy of Hair Club's exciting new technology brochure.
I just love the idea that I can get out of the shower, towel dry my hair, blow dry it, and I'm gone.
So call now and get Hair Club's new technology brochure. You'll see before and after photos of men like yourself who have already experienced the benefits of this innovative technology.
I'd seen too many people that had tried surgery or products that promised to grow their hair back again. I wanted something that was simple, non-surgical, that would give me the results that I was really after.
Call our toll-free number for your free brochure, because Hair Club for Men really can make a difference.
Let's turn the pages back in the history book for the Suzuki Flashback.
It takes us back to 1995, the 125 showdown between Steve Lamson and Ryan Hughes. And the first moto was back and forth. Watch this pass right here. Hughes up the inside. Front wheel almost misses the berm, but he makes the pass stick and closes in on Kevin Windham, who was the early leader. Windham just looks over and realizes Hughes is coming, gets out of the way. Windham was no match for Lamson either as he moved around into second and kept the pressure on Ryan Hughes the whole moto. But Hughes wins it, and that tied the points between motos. So whoever won the second moto would win the title, and Lamson got the whole shot he needed. Let it wire to wire. Hughes kept the pressure on, picked up the pace, but so did Lamson, who went on to take his first ever 125 title. And in one of the most dramatic finishes ever, Hughes, who had broken a chain about 100 yards before the finish, had to push his bike up the hill to the checkered flag and collapsed in exhaustion as Lamson celebrated his first ever 125 #1 plate.
We get back to the 250 action as the leaders out in front battling it out. We've got a battle for third right now as Mike LaRocco gets around Rich Taylor, and there's Ryan Hughes, number 5 in the mix. Ryan Hughes also getting by Taylor. That could be an interesting battle. Ryan Hughes too far back to help his teammate Jeff Emig, but these two going at it could provide lots of action.
Well, you never know. The way Hughes is riding and the way he rode here last year, just because he didn't win the title didn't mean he wasn't going fast. If he can catch up and pass McGrath, that'll really give a cushion to Emig for the second moto.
Taylor holding them back just a bit, and that's probably why the two leaders have an approximate 10 to 11 second lead on third place Mike LaRocco. LaRocco getting an overall win in Washougal this year, while Brian Hughes, his best finish was at Millville, a second place in which he had a great ride there, a 2-2.
Well, the rougher the track, the better, and it was rough there and hot and humid, and he had a good performance. And he just kind of had an up and down season, and part of it is the concentration is just not there. The focus isn't there because he knows that even if he has a great ride, he still can't do anything in the title.
Back to the breathless action between Emig and McGrath now. The defending champion, the red bike in back of the green bike, the Kawasaki of Jeff Emig.
Jeremy messing up that corner a little bit. That's where Emig actually got a little sideways in the first lap. Jeremy almost ran into him. Now it's Jeremy that's starting to make the little mistakes. Emig on a roll right now, just starting to pull away.
This experience of gunning for a title in the last day is not new to Jeff Emig. He came from behind to win in the final moto, the 125 title in 1992.
There's a lot of similarities in the fact that I was down a whole bunch of points, and right at the end I caught up. And just like in '92, the final race, this is what counts. Whoever can put it together the best today is going to be the national champion. And I mean, I'd like to think that I'm in pretty good, or I'd like to think that I'm pretty good in these types of situations. So we'll see how the outcome is.
A lot more confident, not just a cocky, but a cocky mixed with a little confidence now. Jeff Emig. Last week, I liked what he had to say. Davey asked him about the track today being Jeremy's favorite. He goes, well, we'll see.
He certainly has shown a championship maturity, especially in this race, maintaining top speed with no mistakes, with Jeremy McGrath right on his tail. Jeff Emig leading Moto 1 here in the 250s. A real head-to-head battle. That's Hughes and LaRocco coming around the corner.
Hughes gotten around LaRocco somewhere on the track. I thought he went fast here, and he's proven that he's faster than LaRocco, and he's actually opened up a little bit of a gap. And you know, Art, they're not that far behind the leader, so it's possible that Ryan Hughes could play a major role in the outcome of this title, just make it easier on his teammate.
Hughes last year rode this track on the edge with every turn.
That's pretty normal for him, though. For most guys, that'd be a little scary and be kind of labeled as riding over your head. But for Hughes, he rides like that. He just pours his heart into it and rides with so much determination that getting a little out of shape here and there doesn't really bother him.
Well, if it wasn't for that broken chain at the end, it might have been a real close 1-2 finish in the final moto. Jeff Emig, our leader. It doesn't take long for number 1 to come in the picture.
Jeremy's actually closed that gap back up just a little bit. He had that one spot on the track where Emig was leaving the door wide open. In fact, that's the corner right there coming in. Jeff comes in nice and tight. Jeremy squares it, cuts across the ruts. Starting to try a little different lines here and there now, and actually close the gap back up, keeping the pressure on Emig. That's what he's got to do. There's a long time left to go in this moto, so he's not in bad shape just yet, but coming down to the wire, he's going to need be a lot closer than this.
McGrath needing only a 17th in the first moto to clinch the title here last year. In second place, battling with Jeff Emig. We'll be back with more 250 action from Moto 1 at Steel City right after these words.
Okay, so you want to shop the largest selection of cars, trucks, and vans in Orange County. Where are you going to go? Auto Mall? Auto Center? Nope. The largest selection of cars, trucks, and vans in Orange County is just south of the 405 freeway on the Beach Boulevard of Cars in Huntington Beach. That's right, 13 dealers, 22 makes, all in one convenient location. So the next time you see this, do this. Go to the Beach Boulevard of Cars in Huntington Beach.
This week at Montgomery Ward, it's our any size one price mattress sale. Choose a Sealy, Serta, or Spring Air mattress set for only $88 each piece.
Great brands at a great price at Montgomery Ward.
Get on the road to great savings at Auto Express Montgomery Ward. Get any size RTX 30 passenger radial tires, 4 for just $99. So what are you waiting for?
Great brands at a great
My favorite move is trying to, get the ball on the block, trying to take my man left and right, back and forth, spinning away, either shoot a fade away or shoot a nice little jump hook. Sometimes you got to react to how the defensive man is playing you, but other times you got to make the defensive man play you the way you want to. Depends on the situation and how well you're rolling at the time, and I just try to, pick and choose my spots when I want to make my move. I just love to be on the court.
Before we get back to the action, let's check out the Honda riding tip.
Getting started. Well, first you're going to need a motorcycle, so it'd be a good idea to go to the local dealer, check out all the bikes, figure out which one fits you the best. And of course, most dealers will have a wide variety of protective gear, and you look into that. Also, it'd be a good idea to join the AMA and pick up an issue of Cycle News and check out where the races are going to be. And if you don't want to learn the hard way, there's plenty of motorcycle racing schools around the USA to teach you how to do it a little quicker.
Back to the action here in Moto 1 of the 250s. Jeff Emig and Jeremy McGrath. The action has certainly tightened up, David.
Jeremy's right there, and it's got to make Jeff nervous. I thought in the opening portion of the moto, Jeff had to be pretty relaxed and relieved to be able to get back past Jeremy after he passed him and pull out a little lead, and it kept it for a while, but Jeremy, it's a must-win situation. Emig had to expect that, but he was hoping it wouldn't happen, and sure enough, it has.
There's a 3-point difference between first and second place. You see Jimmy Button going down in the track. Everybody just hopes that doesn't interrupt the championship chase.
Right, well, I think the leaders have already gone by. It looks like kind of a blind spot there. I'm sure the flaggers are telling him what to do. Now everything's out of the way, but it doesn't look too good for Button there. He seems to be in some pain right now.
Why is this a must-win for Jeremy McGrath? Well, he goes into it with a 2-point deficit, yes, but there's a 3-point difference between first and second place. If they stay like they are now, that means he would be 5 points down. That means Emig could take a second place in the next moto and still win the title.
And the way he's riding today, that's certainly a possibility, and you know that Ryan Hughes would not factor into that. He would do whatever he could and make sure his teammate got in second, block for him if he had to. That's happened before. Don't think it won't.
Mike LaRocco once again passing Ryan Hughes, number 5, so LaRocco has moved into third place.
He way over jumped that double jump going into the corner. I was trying to figure out, am I on a different side of the racetrack here or what happened? Normally they just land at the top of that and kind of shoot into the corner. He jumped way up into the corner. Coming out of the corner prior to that, Hughes' mechanic watching. Ryan made a bunch of mistakes, back end danced around quite a bit, so he kind of fell out of his rhythm for the moment, and LaRocco took advantage.
Larry Ward is currently behind the third and fourth place riders. Ward finishing up the season on really a high note for him as far as the outdoors are concerned. He got a fourth at Buchanan, a third at Unadilla and Troy. Had a tough time in Millville before he came back with a fifth and a fourth place finish in the last 2 races.
Shoot, if he just count his second moto finishes, he'd be looking good in the title.
He really would.
He's been going good in the second moto, making that adjustment, whatever it takes between motos, coming out strong.
Larry, of course, signing once again for next year with Honda of Troy. As we go back to the leaders, Jeff Emig and Jeremy McGrath starting to come into Lapperville here for a while. That could affect the standings.
That could affect. It's a nightmare for Emig, and it's an advantage for McGrath. Typically when the leaders, and I've talked about this before, but when the leaders start to catch the lappers, a lot of times they don't realize they're coming, so that'll be to the disadvantage of Emig, and by the time they see Emig, then they move right over for McGrath.
McGrath coming off 2 wins. Let's go down to Davey Coombs now, who's with Skip Norfolk, to see about the McGrath strategy.
All right, Skip. Not a lot of lap riders here at Steel City. Is Jeremy worried about that?
Well, no, if you're out front, that's good for you, but if you're in second where we're at, you're kind of wishing to have some guys out there to race and slow things up and take the leader off his pace. But this way, it's racing. The best guy's going to obviously win here this moto, barring anything weird happening. We're down to 5, maybe 6 laps. They're pretty close on time, so it's going to have to happen now or it won't happen at all.
This is the first time this year I've really seen Skip Norfolk that truly concerned.
Yeah, the first time I've seen him sweating, too. I know it's hot out there, but this situation doesn't make it any better. Jeremy's got to get on it right now.
The challenge is there. Jeff Emig seemingly going through these lappers like they weren't there.
And Jeff has been just incredible coming out of all the corners. He's been getting out a little early, getting on the power. Notice Jeremy's been, look at that. He gets out of there, hooks it up straight, puts the bike straight up and down, so you got a wider contact patch and better traction. Jeremy's been sliding around a little bit more.
It's Jeff Emig still holding the lead here in Moto 1 on Jeremy McGrath. We'll be back for the race for the checkers in a moment.
My son insisted we try America Online, and I said, what's in it for us? Now I know better. America Online makes our lives easier. It saves time and money, too. Look, I'll show you. Welcome. I don't mind saving for retirement anymore. I can research mutual funds, chart all my stocks, and do my banking all from home anytime I want. And there's more. Scan hundreds of magazines, get sports scores, enjoy hobbies, even shop online. So call this toll-free number and get everything you need to make your life easier and more fun.
The forecast, mostly sunny skies today with brisk easterly winds. Expect a high near 52 degrees.
If you don't want to be stereotyped, don't be stereotypical. The Suzuki Intruder.
For years, ESPN has been working to improve sports for the fan.
Designed to extend the season for fans in places like frigid Lambeau Field, the Toasty Ball is heated by a small plutonium furnace. But at 130 degrees, it's too hot to handle.
But experiments like Toasty Ball did lead to a breakthrough in coverage for all sports. ESPN Net Sports Zone. With Chris Mortenson's column, drive charts, everything you need to be a better fan. ESPN Net Sports Zone. Technology for you.
Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs from Steel City, USA in Delmont, Pennsylvania for the final round. And it's coming right down to this one. In Moto 1, Jeff Emig on the final lap. It's not that easy an item to win back-to-back 250 titles. In fact, it hasn't been done since Jeff Stanton in 1989 and 1990. That's what Jeremy McGrath is gunning for. He wants that #1 plate back. He's going to have to do it in the second moto, it looks like.
He's going to have some luck already. Looks like Emig's starting to do a little crossing up and starting to feel relaxed. He's got a pretty good lead over Jeremy. Jeremy may have just decided there's no way in heck I'm going to beat him in this first moto. So save the energy and figure out what I got to do to win the second moto and just hope things play out behind me to work in my favor.
This would give Emig a 5-point lead going into the final moto of the season. That doesn't mean that he can relax, though, David.
Absolutely not. This is a great win. It's going to put him 5 points up. He'll be a little more relaxed in the pits between motos, but if Jeremy wins the next moto, he's still got to finish second. Otherwise, they'll tie, and that tie will go to Jeremy with the most wins on the season.
Only a short period of time now before Jeff Emig turns that corner and sees the checkered flag. Very popular here at the Delmont track. Jeff Emig has won the first moto. Boy, what an advantage that is for this young man. Jeff Emig, Jeremy McGrath finishing second. Mike LaRocca holding on to third, with Hughes and Ward rounding out the top 5. For the top 10, it's Palmer, Henry Taylor, Keeney, and Doug Dubach. Let's go down to Davey Coombs now with our winner.
Jeff, the first round of the chess match is over. You beat him.
It feels real good. You know, we were going fast. Just trying to keep my lines and learn new ones along the way. So, you know, because I knew that he'd be out to get me there on that first lap, and he did. Unfortunately, I got him right back.
Yeah, we saw that. That was a really close, and you almost landed on him off that jump.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, where neither one of us is going to give up. And, you know, if we happen to come together, well, you know, then that's just part of racing, I guess.
Now, for the second moto, you still got to get second if Jeremy wins. Do you feel up to it?
Sure. Well, I feel like winning. That's what I came here today. You know, the only way to guarantee the championship is to win both motos, and that's what I plan to do.
Well, now the pressure is squarely on the shoulders of the defending champion, Jeremy McGrath. He has to come back big in that second moto, and Davey is with him now.
Jeremy, that was just about as perfect as a race as anyone could ride, but it wasn't perfect enough.
Yeah, it's true. You know, Jeff got out in front. I got right behind him. I passed him first lap, or actually maybe it was the second lap, and he kind of like psychoed back by me. So then I was behind him. I rode a good race. I was pushing as hard as I could without being erratic and making too many mistakes. It's just he wasn't making any mistakes either. So, you know, it's just one of those things. I mean, I was trying my hardest, and he was trying his hardest, and that's the way it goes.
I think Jeremy there just looks like he was surprised by the aggressiveness of Jeff Emig, and it appears that he just didn't come ready to duke it out, and Emig did. Let's go back to Davey.
Mike, that was a solid ride for third here in the first moto.
Yeah, kind of boring. I didn't get off to a good pace at the beginning, and I let those guys get away. They were battling hard, and And I'm just going to have to, make some changes and figure something out for round number 2.
If you're going to play the spoiler, who would you want to be the spoiler for?
Actually, it's a tough call. I don't really care to see either one of them win. Jeremy wins too much, and I really like Jeff, so I want to go out there and win the moto and let them sit by themselves.
It was LaRocco that Emig took that 125 title away from on the final event in '92. We'll be back in a moment. AMA Motocross is being brought to you by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. Another possible head-to-head confrontation in Moto 2. They're going over that bike tooth and nail.
Looks like they're just changing the oil and changing the clutch. They got enough people there to change everything if they need to.
Art Ekman along with David Bailey and Davey Coombs. Jeff Emig now with a 5-point lead going into Moto number 2, but it is still a very tense situation as far as the title is concerned.
You can feel it in the air, and I don't know who was more nervous at the starting line for the first moto, me or Emig or McGrath. Really, I've been there. I know how it feels, and now 5 points down, McGrath has got to win the second moto. And if he does, Emig has got to finish second. If he finishes third, the title will still go to McGrath.
With all the focus on the 2 top contenders, what's it like being in Albertino or LaRocco?
It's no good. You don't even want to. You can't win the title anymore, so why even be here? And you just don't want to get in between those guys and affect the outcome of the series. You just want to be way ahead or way behind them.
Emig's teammate Ryan Hughes out with an injury here in Moto 2.
Right, it's a foot injury, and I'm not sure how serious it is yet, but it's not going to really ruin his season. It hasn't been that good of a season for him, but he's on the Trophy to Nations team. So if it's serious enough, he would probably be yanked from that team, and probably it'd be a smart idea to put Emig on it.
He's the alternate. Let's go down to the starting line now. As these riders contemplate the second moto back in history, 1982 was the slimmest margin of victory for the 250s, a 3-point advantage, Donnie Hansen over Rick Johnson.
I remember that. Johnson had a huge lead going in, and he wanted to win the race. He got so caught up in that, he jumped too far off this big ski jump downhill and broke his front wheel and ended up losing that title. Learned his lesson, though. He won quite a few more after that.
The game plan for Jeremy McGrath is simple. Win. The bike's revving up, getting ready to go here for Moto number 2 now for the 250s. They're off. The all-important hole shot. Look at the acceleration on the inside by Emig, and he brakes just in time for the hole shot. Where's Jeremy McGrath? He got pinched off there in that first turn.
I think he avoided all that cluster in the second corner, though. He went wide. But this is a nightmare for McGrath right now. Emig out in front. Jeremy's somewhere maybe 10th, 15th, as best I can tell.
Emig, Henry, Albertine, Taylor, Keeney, Bradshaw, Palmer, the Skoll Privateer winner Palmer, they're all ahead of number 1.
And Jeremy is going to have his work cut out. See how many riders are going through there, and it's not because the track's not prepared nice. It's been perfect all day, but it's the last moto of the day, and it's the driest, and all these guys are going to kick up some dust, and Jeremy's going to barely be able to see.
Henry and then Larry Ward, second and third right now as we see the leaders go through. And then the rest of the pack. Mike LaRocco, an atrocious start.
Jeremy already starting to work his way by. That's Doug Dubach. Still, he's getting roosted. He's got to take different lines, and the vision through here where the track's watered a little bit more, it's much better, but in some of the areas where a little bit of dust kicks up, it's hard to see. It's easier for us than it is when you're out there.
Battling with Corey Keeney right now, and you can see the roost, a great camera shot there.
Right, and while he's trying to fight his way through these guys, Emig's pulling away. Saw Emig just go by the other way. That's a big lead. And we figure these guys are pretty much even today. How the heck's he going to make that up? He's going to have to dig deep now.
Early in the race with Emig really at top speed. Is it to a disadvantage to be behind slower riders than, say, faster riders?
Well, as long as he's moving past them like this, it's not a problem. And that's why you see him so desperate trying to get by these guys early. Because later in the race, yes, they can slow you down a little bit because their pace is slower. If you're behind them in a section like this, where Jeremy's capable of going a lot faster, you got to just sit there and wait. You're impatient. He's trying to get around. But it's not that easy to get past guys like Bradshaw, and we'll find out pretty soon. Also, Albertine's up there this time, and he's not going to make it easy.
Henry, Ward, and Albertine. Second, third, and fourth.
Good battle between these guys. Ward almost running over Henry's foot. Henry just taking the best lines. Ward trying everything to get around. He's got a lot of pressure from Albertine, so he just wants to put Henry between them.
Doug Henry coming back to win a moto at Washougal, and what a great comeback year that's made it. Jeff Emig is our leader with Doug Henry in second place. In seventh, behind Bradshaw, is Jeremy McGrath.
If you have one of these or one of these, then you're ready for the most useful tool ever invented. Introducing the Roto 7 Power Disc. A disc so strong it can cut through this hardened steel file, power through this brick, zip through copper pipe, and even cut through masonry with ease. The tempered carbide disc cuts right through this iron chain and shears off any nail in its path. Roto 7 not only breezes through ceramic tiles, but even makes rounded corners quickly and easily. Use it on your circular saw to cut smoothly through Formica. No binding, no kickback, and it always leaves a clean, smooth edge. But cutting is just the beginning. Roto 7 will sharpen your tools, even your lawnmower blade, and it'll grind just about anything. All your work comes out clean and burr-free. You get not one, but 2 power discs. And if you order now, we'll also include this Roto 7 sanding disc. Just look how easily it strips away old paint. Ordinary sanders keep clogging up, but Roto 7's open mesh keeps it running clog-free. You get all 3 discs for only $19.95. So order your Roto 7 now.
Call toll-free 1-800-892-1212. That's 1-800-892-1212. Or send check or money order for $19.95 plus shipping and handling to Roto 7, 2 Morgan Avenue, Norwalk, Connecticut. Or call now 1-800-892-1212.
I keep thinking about those hunters we surprised today.
Oh, did you see the looks on their faces when they ran for their ATVs?
Yeah. That one guy had a Suzuki King Quad. Did you see it take off up that hill and into the woods? I didn't even bother going after it.
Oh, yeah, them Suzuki's got a lock in front differential, independent suspension. You can't touch them.
I bet that other guy wishes he'd had a King Quad.
Oh, yeah, that guy was delicious.
The Suzuki King Quad. More features than your friend's ATV.
Back to Steel City for the finale of the 250s, Moto number 2. Larry Ward, Doug Henry, Albertine, all battling it out here behind the leader. And the leader, of course, is Jeff Emig. Henry, number 15, has the edge on the freight train. Larry Ward, number 6, and Albertine, who's looked fast but has had trouble staying up this year, is number 16. These are some interesting riders between Emig and Jeremy McGrath, let alone Bradshaw.
Albertine goes wide around Larry Ward, cuts him off right there. Not going to make Ward very happy, but, you know, he left the door open. That's what you get. Now Albertine, look how quick he caught Henry. Seems to be the guy. He's going as fast as Emig right now, perhaps.
Roger DeCoster's main goal coming into this season was to improve that 250 program, and it's obvious by the performances of Greg Albertine and Mike Larocco, both winning overalls this year, that has become a reality.
Yeah, the bike is good. It's no longer a problem. Last year it wasn't so good. The 125 was great. Always has been. But 250 suffered, and they've made up the difference. And now...
Whoa! Albertine really testing Henry now.
Yeah, these guys are gaining confidence. Having wins like that, it helps Roger's position at Suzuki, and as well as the confidence of the team. Everyone knows that bike's capable of winning.
Well, it certainly helps the supporters that are paying the bills. They get excited as well. Jeff Emig, our leader, is pulling a good lead. You saw him go by the picture down in the lower portion there as Doug Henry in second. Albertine in third. They battle it out. Ian Harrison, that's Albertine's mechanic. He's been through a lot this year.
If I'm Emig, I want to get way ahead of all these guys. I don't want any riders around me, because if I've got them there and Jeremy catches up, the potential to finish third is a very real possibility. I don't want that.
Davey Coombs is in the pits. Let's check out that Emig camp.
Jeremy, at what point do you start telling Jeff where McGrath is?
I'm not going to tell him where McGrath is. He just wants to win this race, and I want him to win this race. He's been working really hard, and he wants his championship, and he knows what he has to do, and I don't think it matters where McGrath is.
Otherwise, so far, so good then.
So far, so good.
I would say so, as Jeremy McGrath, now trying to pick off the riders, has moved all the way up to Larry Ward. He's wasted little time weeding through the riders, but now he's got some real toughies in front of him.
Well, Albertine will be tough. I don't know. I think I think he'll be able to get around Larry Ward because Larry Ward's a little bit more predictable. Now, I'm not saying Larry Ward's slow. Don't get me wrong. Larry is definitely quick, but Albertine is a little bit more erratic, and he's the kind of guy that can just turn it on a little bit more and kind of catch you by surprise, same way Emig did to Jeremy in the first moto. That's going to be tough. And Henry, well, nobody's got around him yet, so he, of course, will be tough.
It was interesting when they were teammates before Henry's accident last year. They were battling for the points lead as teammates. There goes McGrath on the easy outside move on an off camber. He was able to keep his momentum around that corner very well. And look at Albertine, cuts to the inside of Henry. Albertine now has moved into second place as Jeremy McGrath now will take on number 15, his former teammate Doug Henry.
I think maybe Albertine got a glance at Jeremy coming and said, well, if I can get around Henry, that'll buy me a little bit more time before I have to deal with him. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but certainly Jeremy coming as strong as he is had to motivate all this whole pack to pick up the pace.
Well, this is a tough pack for Jeremy McGrath to get through. Steve Lampson certainly felt this pressure last year of having to win, and we asked him before the race about his thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, for the fans and, you know, every one of us, I mean, it's a great thing to come here. And I think a lot of people came here because they knew it was going to be a battle to the end. And, I don't think the spectators realize all the pressure that's on these guys, you know, especially, you know, Emig after catching up and, you know, leading coming into this race, which he might have the most pressure on his shoulders. And, of course, Jeremy, you know, he's coming, you know, winning up till, you know, he hurt himself. And, you know, that's kind of a freak deal there. You know, he DNF'd a moto and a couple races. So, you know, it's interesting, and it's tough for both of those guys. I mean, they got a lot of pressure on them right now, just like me last year.
Well, those are the two guys that really share a lot of track information, too, as teammates. You can't ask for better teammates than Steve Lampson and Jeremy McGrath. Right now, Jeremy McGrath looking for the opportunity, almost jumped off the course there to get by Doug Henry.
He's knocking on the door. Henry knows it. Be interesting to see if he kind of just moves over just a little bit to make things easier. It seemed like that's what Larry Ward did a little while back through the mechanics area. Jeremy's definitely got the pressure on. You can see how far away Albertine. He's already heading up the hill now.
Here goes Jeremy now. He's got the clean drag strip move on Doug Henry.
Kind of looks over his shoulder at Doug like, thanks for not making that too tough. And he didn't lose much time being back there. Henry's still got a good pace going. Now that Jeremy's into third, it's interesting too because Albertine has actually closed up on Emig a little bit, and as long as he's close to Emig, if Jeremy can catch up and pass him, and Albertine does too, Jeremy's going to get the title. You know, in the Honda pits, they're all crossing their fingers, hoping that plays out.
Jeremy McGrath now trying to pick up the space between his bike and number 16, that of Greg Albertine. Jeremy looking a lot smoother in this moto in the catch-up than he did in the first moto to me.
Yeah, you're right. He just looks more aggressive.
Emig, our leader, Albertine and McGrath, the top three. We'll be back now for the race to the checkers in a moment.
On offense, you need a solid game plan and the players to go with it. At Electric Avenue, they execute their game plan to perfection.
Mike, this week at Electric Avenue, ask for 0 interest for 1 full year on all TVs, $8.99 and up, and on all appliances, $3.99 and up. Plus, get free U.S. savings bonds, free TV stands, and free camcorder kits on select electronics, and free ice makers on select refrigerators.
Great game plan, great players. That's Electric Avenue.
Of covering Joe's injury. I mean, not only is he an MVP, he's a great brother. It was especially hard on Tom, being Joe's fraternal twin.
When Joe broke his leg, I actually felt it. Not as much as I did.
Now you can get all the scores up to the minute down at the bottom of ESPN2. Bottom Line 2 for constant updates on all the games. Check in weeknights 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Weekends 1 p.m. to 7 a.m. Only on ESPN2.
Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs from Steel City, Delmont, Pennsylvania. Our leader is Jeff Emig. If he holds on to the lead, he wins the 250 title for the season. If he places second, he still has assured himself of a victory. Anything less than that, though, and the crown could go to Jeremy McGrath if Jeremy finishes in front.
Right now, he still seems pretty focused. He was awfully aggressive coming through the mechanics area there, but you can see right there in that shot how close Albertine's getting.
Down to 4 seconds, and Jeremy McGrath is about 5 seconds behind him. Still lots of time for this battle royal to continue. Behind them is Henry, Ward, and Bradshaw.
Bradshaw caught these guys out of nowhere. I didn't see him in the first few laps. There he is right there. He caught these guys, got a little quicker pace going. He may be on the same pace as McGrath, just a couple spaces further back in the running. But been a disappointing season for Damon. I know he's capable of a lot more than this. I know he knows that too, and it's hard to tell what it's going to take for him to get him back up there.
David, Bradshaw has shown us coming back after being out a season and a half how increasingly difficult it is sitting out a season or more. You know, you got the hungry young talent out there, but more than that, the sports vets are continually improving. They're moving ahead, able to do more daring feats with the technology advancements and the advancements in conditioning.
And they make a lot less mistakes too, because Bradshaw, I think, is probably running about as quick as he was before he retired. And he was definitely a contender before he retired, and now he's just finding that that pace isn't good enough. There's a lot of guys that can run it. Right there, Doug Henry, speaking of mistakes, he just made a big one, came up short on that double jump. But I think Bradshaw was surprised, surprised everybody, surprised me too, to do so well in the first couple of rounds of the Supercross series, but then things kind of settled in and he realized, man, you can't get by these guys. There's privateer guys, there's the Larry Wards and the independent team riders that are so fast now, and if you get a bad start, working your way to the front is a real challenge.
What a triad here. Doug Henry, Larry Ward, and Damon Bradshaw, where they're just more riders each day are willing to sacrifice with the conditioning and strength programs.
Now these young guys, a lot of them haven't been hurt.
Oh, there goes Larry Ward leaping over Doug Henry. And Bradshaw gets by him as well.
Yeah, Henry just had a bad half a lap here. He paced that jump, made a few mistakes, and all these guys went by. That's what happens. That's how close this is.
Larry Ward now in 4th place. Bradshaw moves up to 5th. Let's go to Davey.
Dave, this appears to be Damon's last ride for Yamaha in the States. Does he have any extra incentive to go out there?
Well, I guess he had a hard time the first moto, really bad start, and he got hit with the big rock. I guess he wanted to come here and, you know, try and finish out on a good note. He seems to be riding pretty fast now. He's in a little race with Larry. He looks like he's enjoying himself right now.
How stoked would he be to beat Doug Henry, a guy that looks like the Yamaha's going to keep?
I don't know. I guess for Damon, I'm sure that's something he wants to do. There's no doubt about that, and he appears to be doing it right now.
Emig, our leader, Albertine in 2nd, and Jeremy McGrath in 3rd. We are looking back at 4th and 5th with Larry Ward and Damon Bradshaw.
You know, Damon coming back too, he's also a little older. He's had a couple of injuries, and that messes with you a little bit too. Look at Doug Henry. I mean, the injury, of course, that was very severe, but it really took the edge off. Doug was so competitive, beating McGrath at times, two-time national champion, moving into the 250s and battling for the points lead when he went down, and really doesn't have that edge right now. If there's any hesitation in your mind from past experiences, you're off the back.
Jeremy McGrath is pulling up now onto Greg Albertine, and we might have a real 1-2-3 battle for the title here.
Well, that's horrible news for Emig. You see him going down the hill there, just going by the other way. If Jeremy pushes Albertine and they push each other up to Emig, boy, coming down to the wire in this moto, perhaps with lappers, the possibility for Jeremy to get Albertine between himself and Emig and take that title away that's a very real possibility.
Jeremy McGrath, of course, last year winning the 250 Supercross and 250 National Outdoor. Just 8 riders have gotten that 250 double, and Ben Bridges writing us a letter informing us that one of those was you back in 1983, David.
Cool. Forgot about that.
Yeah, I'll bet you did.
No, I did. I guess I did. Well, that's nice to be in this kind of company.
Of course, Jeff Stanton did it 3 times and Bob Hanna twice. Jeremy McGrath, if he should capture a win here today, it would be his 2nd time. Jeff Emig, our leader. It's coming down to the wire, and we'll be back with more in a moment.
101. Call now.
From ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, it's ESPN Magazine Hockey 96. It's time to drop the puck on a brand new season. Will the Avalanche bury the league again? Can the Russian Rocket reload? Will the Great One light up Broadway? We'll showcase the big names and the biggest hitters. Rate your team's GM and profile 6 players to watch this year. ESPN Magazine Hockey 96. A on newsstands now.
Welcome back to Delmont, Pennsylvania. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs down in the pits. Here's Kyle Lewis and Mike LaRocco. Unfortunate for Mike, he's back in 10th place. Kyle Lewis is probably his last national race. He's going to Japan to race for the Japanese team Suzuki over there. A great money contract for Kyle, a weathered veteran. Mike LaRocco will be back with Suzuki next year, a final year of a 2-year deal.
Actually, it's been a pretty good ride for LaRocco so far, because in our first lap, just following all the back markers through, all of a sudden number 8 pops up. So he went down in that first turn or second turn little melee they had there and caught all the way up to 10th. So not a bad performance so far. He's still got a little ways to go. He may be able to get up to the top 5.
Yeah, with Albertine having an 11th in the first moto, LaRocco's got a good shot at a decent overall position. LaRocco putting the challenge now to Kyle Lewis. Cuts inside with a nice little hippity hop.
Look at that.
Now
battling.
It's muscle time.
That was great. Well, Lewis just was trying to counter everything. LaRocco's like, come on, twice I had you. Get out of the way. Trying to get his elbow up in front of him, and it worked.
Who had the sharpest elbows when you raced?
It wasn't me. I just stayed out of all that. Johnson and I got into some stuff in '83. It turned out to be a bad year for him. That was the year he dislocated his hip. But before all that happened, we knocked each other down 4 or 5 times pretty bad. And it got to the point where finally we just walked up to each other at the starting line and said, okay, enough is enough. Truce. And he goes, okay.
When was the tightest finish you ever had with Supercross?
Supercross in 1983, that same year, was with Mark Barnett. I had a 10-point lead going in.
Whoa.
But turned out that I only won by a few points. And
3 points, if I remember correctly.
yeah, that was no good. At one point in the race, actually Mark Barnett went down the first corner. So I started just kind of put it on cruise control, figuring, oh, it's going to be a piece of cake. And Barnett rode probably the race of his life. And fortunately for me, Danny Magoo Chandler also rode the race of his life and kept Barnett back there for a while. He couldn't get around him, and he couldn't pick up the spots he needed to close in and beat me for the title. And it wasn't that Magoo helped me. He was just riding like Magoo. That's what he did.
Yeah. Jeremy McGrath in 3rd place, trying to battle up, trying to get closer to Albertine, who just went by. Skip Norfolk pointing at Greg Albertine, saying, go get that guy. When Jeremy McGrath got into 3rd place, getting around Doug Henry, he was 8 seconds off the leader. And he is pulled up to within about 5 seconds from this man, Jeff Emig.
What it really boils down to, I think, this year, Art, is that when Emig has had to perform and had to get the start or get the moto win, he's been able to do it. So it's kind of, the role is kind of reversed. That's what Jeremy's done all this last 3 or 4 years, and looks like now it may be Emig's turn.
Oh, this is a great championship run. Jeff Emig, Greg Albertine, the former 3-time world champion, playing a part in this. And then Jeremy McGrath. From up above, let's see the line that Jeff Emig takes.
Pretty smooth down the inside of that corner. It gets into the berm. He's riding great. This is the Jeff Emig type of track. Just real fast, big sweepers, big jumps, and he's riding perfect today.
Davies with Jeff Emig's dad.
Mr. Emig, we seen you out there cheering for Jeff. How do you feel right now?
Well, pretty excited, I'd say. Just trying to help cheer him on, so he can win this moto and probably get the championship. So I'm just trying to provide whatever I can to help him.
Your kid is riding cool as ice today.
Well, he's pretty patient, pretty disciplined type individual, and he knows what he's got to do. And he's been focused all week, so he knows what he's got to do. And let's hope he does it.
All right, well, we wish you luck, Mr. Emig.
Thank you.
Well, the last time Jeff Emig went down to the final moto, winning the 125 title, he dedicated that race to his father for what his father and family sacrificed to get him where he is today.
I'm happy for Jeff, and his dad looks awfully proud. I remember back in those days when I could enjoy this with my family, and it feels great. Right now, Jeff's he's got just enough of a lead where he can start to think, man, what if something happens to my bike?
That's just it. I was thinking anything can happen in this race right now. And with Jeremy so close.
I remember last year Ryan's chain came off. That's weird, but it happens.
Jeff Emig, Albertine, McGrath, and those in it for the fun of it, Bradshaw and Ward, will be back. Coverage of AMA Motocross is being brought to you by the reigning Supercross 125 and 250 outdoor champions, Honda. Come ride with us. The season coming down to the final moto as Jeff Emig comes around the finish line, getting the white flag for the final lap. Albertine has really pushed Emig in second place. Jeremy McGrath has been unable to really mount a terrific opportunity against Albertine.
Well, he's done all that he can do. You've seen him close the gap. He charged hard, and he came from a terrible start, but you can see a little bit of celebration already going on in the Kawasaki pits.
I don't know if I'd pat on the back yet.
Well, I would. I mean, if you're Emig right now, you're feeling great. He's already got those two lappers behind him. He's just a little glance over his shoulder, realizes the gap is maybe even a little bit bigger now because Jeremy realizes, well, it's over pretty much. Unless Emig falls down or breaks down, there's nothing he can do.
Or unless you break a chain like Hughes and come in third instead of second.
The irony of that, Emig was Hughes' teammate last year, so that could be on his mind.
Right now, I think he's thinking more positive things, don't you? He's got thrills inside of him. Jeff Emig could be only the fourth rider to win a 125 and 250 national title. That seems incredible to me. Jeff Ward, Bob Hanna, Mike Kudrowski. There's two Kawasaki riders out of those three.
Well, he can just about coast there now. You can hear the crowd. They realize what's happened here. Jeff Emig has beaten Jeremy McGrath.
And the Jeff Fro crew, you saw the big sign out there hanging out as he takes the jump. Part of Jeff Emig's fan club almost getting on the track. We don't want to take too much away from Jeremy McGrath either. One of the greatest riders the sport has ever seen, and he's proved that. He proved it last year, winning this very title. But it's a tribute to number 2, Jeff Emig. He has stepped up to the level.
He has. And this is what happens when you stay in the game and keep the pressure on and don't lose your focus. Don't lose sight of your goals. And he said last year after this race, he goes, well, this is my first year on the 250s, second, it's not bad. I got to improve. Next year I'm going to win it. Looks like he's going to.
How many people believed him at the time?
I was going, well, that's a great goal there, Jeff, but I didn't have a lot of confidence. In fact, before this race, during the week, I was thinking, well, I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff pulled this off, but I wouldn't bet against Jeremy. And now that it's actually happening and it looks like it might be Emig's title, I am just a little bit surprised. Very impressed with the way he's ridden.
From up above, the helicopter shot as the turns are winding down to very few now for Jeff Emig as he heads toward the finish line. What a proud moment it has to be for this young man and for the entire Team Kawasaki. Yes, he's saying to himself, I did do it. Greg Albertine off to his right, congratulating him and his many fans. He's just exploding inside. The next step in a wonderful career already. He's wondering right now, just how high can I get? It's going to be a while before he comes down. Jeff Emig, our winner. Albertine, second. Morocco fighting back for 7th, gives him a 3rd overall. Let's get down to that winner, though. Jeff Emig, he's with Davey.
All right, we're down here in the winner's circle with our 1996 250 national champion, Jeff Emig. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. I couldn't have done it without my mechanic, Jeremy Albrecht, and my team, Kawasaki. I don't know what to say. We got a lot of seconds this year, and coming into this race, second wasn't going to be good enough. And I was really focused on my starts and just riding perfect races. And I can't tell you just how happy I am right now. It hasn't soaked in yet, but I just feel so good.
Well, those were 2 totally perfect races. A lot of times, like in the Supercross series and early in the National series, you'd have trouble with McGrath behind you. No problem today, either moto.
Well, Jeremy's been, he's been great, the last 4 or 5 years, and his Supercross skills, are just, they're just super. But I got a lot of seconds this year, like I said, and I just knew that I had to come out and just win the motos. So.
Are you stoked to have your dad here watching you?
Yeah, I'd like to say hi to my dad, sister, and everybody else, my brother at home, and my trainer, John Hall. There's a lot of people that are involved, like in winning a national championship like this, and the list is long, but you all know who you are, and I thank you so much.
An emotional moment for our new 250 champion. Greg Albertine might have made it possible by pushing Emig. Let's go back to Davey now, who's with Greg.
Greg, you got in the middle of the championship battle there, but it didn't have any effect on the outcome.
No, I didn't. I was hopefully going to put a big spanner in the works today, but went down in the first turn of the first motor, so had pretty much ruined my chances. But I felt good out there, and I got to really congratulate Jeff. He was really a worthy champion, and you know, unfortunately, there's got to be a loser, but Jeremy's won enough. And you know, my RM250 was really running great out there. I felt very confident. I just like to thank my mechanic, Ian. He always puts in 100%.
Back in America in 1997?
Definitely. I'm having a great time, and hopefully going to win a few more next year.
Emig 8 moto wins to Jeremy's 16 moto wins. Emig's 4th overall to Jeremy's 7th overall. But it was those second place finishes that Emig talked about that was the big difference. Let's go back to Davey now with Jeremy.
Jeremy, you went out like a champion. You gave it all you had.
Yeah, I was just didn't get the start again, and I was back that time. Jeff did one of his classic moves, you know, cut over on me. But he rode a great race. He did what he had to do. I came out here, and you know, I have no regrets. I was at home doing what I had to do and making sure that I had no regrets after today if I didn't win, and that's just the way it works out.
How would things have been different without the injury?
Well, it would have been much different. You know, I had a 50-point lead. That's a whole race. Believe me, I've learned my lesson from that, and you know, in the previous years, that won't happen.
A quick look back at the most fierce rivalry in a great 1996 season. Jeremy McGrath started off dominating, and then at Millville.
That's obvious from Jeremy's comment that the season would have been completely different had he not had that injury. However, that's part of racing, and Jeff Emig took advantage of it.
Then his first DNF at Washougal, trying to come back and get back into the picture.
Looked like it was all over right here, but he did come back to Binghamton and win both motos, giving himself a mathematical shot at the final round.
Kudos to the new champ.